Hey YouTube, today we're placing the Avengers Tower building into Bricktown. Hey everyone and welcome to Brick Talk TV. You join me here in Bricktown where you can see the current state of the city since we added the museum modular in the last video. If you missed that episode then do check out the link in the top right hand corner, and also if you enjoy this video do hit that like button. Today we're going to be revisiting the lower section of Bricktown in South Street, as you can see here on the map, and we're going to be repositioning some existing buildings to make some room for the Avengers Tower. But before we get into the placement of these buildings, let's remind ourselves of the tower itself. Here you can see the tower in all its glory. Released in 2023 in November, you can see that it's a really tall building and it's going to be hard to fit this into one shot. Measuring 90 centimetres, it's also going to be a challenge to fit this into the sloped roof I have in the loft ceiling, so you might have some fun and have to tweak the positioning of it to suit it within the physical space. I've also got the gift with purchase with the taxi cab as well to place, but in today's episode we're likely just going to place the buildings into position and then do a follow-up episode to place the actual minifigures, the paving, and then set some street stories around the buildings themselves. So with that in mind, let's take a look at what the current area looks like. Here you can see we have the Daily Bugle and Sanctum Sanctorum in place on this side of the street, and we're going to be moving the Sanctum out and the Daily Bugle around, I think. At the back here we've also got the corner garage modular building, and I think we're going to be removing this completely from Bricktown as it's probably my least favourite modular building and I need the room. So instead the plan is to put the Sanctum in place of the garage. And I know that this actually isn't really ideal because I quite like looking at the Sanctum, but given the space we have and the physical ceiling, I can't put the towers at the back. So I'm going to have to sacrifice the Sanctum Sanctorum and put that round the back instead of the garage. So with that in mind, let's get going with repositioning the buildings. So the buildings are now in place, but I'm not happy with how tight the towers are together, and I've had to rotate the Daily Bugle around in order for it to fit the sign round, which isn't looking very ideal. So I think we need to give it a little bit more breathing space. So to achieve that, I'm going to be narrowing down the sidewalk and the paving area around the towers. And we're going to be reducing one side of the sidewalks by 2 studs to give us a nice 2-stud gap between the 2 towers. So let's add some modifications to give us some room. Now we've made a 2-stud gap. You can see that the Daily Bugle has been able to move around and it fits in much nicer. I think though there might be a need to remove an additional 2 studs from the sidewalk on the other side that aligns with the Daily Bugle, just to give us actually a 4 stud gap in between the 2 towers, which again will give us even more breathing space and probably make those minifigures and those mini builds that are hanging off of the towers look a little bit better than they do now. And I'll do that gap in the next episode when we start to look at the paving in the surrounding area and the street story. From this angle you'll also notice that there's around an 8 stud gap behind the towers, and this is actually what I want because in a future episode we're actually going to be building an alleyway story to cover that gap, and again we'll also then be doing that during our sidewalk paving episode. So here's Bricktown at the end of today's modifications. You can see the towers now poking into shot on the left hand side of our shot, and we're looking nicely full up now in terms of the city buildings. As well as the alleyway building in the future, we'll also be adding a large scaled up Marshmallow Man minifigure outside the Ghostbusters fire station. So to be notified about that video and other future videos, do hit that subscribe button with the bell notification turned on to be automatically updated when new videos drop on the channel. And remember, you can also sign up as a channel member if you want to access other great perks. And until next time, stay safe and I'll see you then.